Hi, I'm Ruth, and welcome to Inspired Questions, where I have meaningful conversations with women about how they navigate life's ups and downs, or I share on my own about what's on my mind. Today is one of those on my own episodes. My website just went live. Woo! A lot of work. Yay. And all my offers are built around something I call the Grounded Life Framework. And people are asking me, how did I actually come to this work? And I want to walk you through it because it really is my story. So let's get into it. I want to start with where this began for me because this framework did not come out of nowhere. As a teenager, even really as a child, I was unhappy. I had so many big emotions and I didn't know what to do with them. It showed up as me becoming pretty self-destructive. I did stupid, destructive things to myself and to my life. And then I became an adult. And I almost hypercorrected. I went very far the other way. I had so much guilt about what I had put my parents through, what I had put my family through, how I was perceived by their community, by my friends. So I went the other way. I became the ultimate people pleaser, overgiver, hyper responsible. I did everything to make everybody else happy without really thinking about myself. And that led to me becoming completely lost and not in touch with who I was. Neither version was healthy, just in different ways. In both, I was totally out of touch with my body, my mind, and with sitting with my own feelings, really. I've talked about my burnout story before. There's a whole episode on it, so I'm not going to repeat all of that here. But if you haven't listened to it, go back to it. I'm very honest and vulnerable in it, and I'll have the link in the show notes so you can really quickly find it. So here's the thing about these 4 phases of the Grounded Life Framework. They did not show up all at once for me. It wasn't like I burned out and suddenly went, oh my gosh, this is how you change things. Like, light bulb moment. This work is years of conscious effort and thought. And the more I think about it, I actually think I was always on my way to this point. The self-destructive teenager, the people-pleasing woman in her 20s. All of it happened to get me to where I am today. And I wish I could say I can point to one moment where suddenly I knew all of this, but I can't. What I can do, though, is tell you what worked for me, and I truly believe will work for others. So the first phase is regulate. I almost don't think regulate comes first. I think it's the foundation underneath everything else. When I'm dysregulated or disconnected, I can understand concepts. I can understand things that could help me. But can I actually put them into practice? How do I look at beliefs when my heart is racing and my stomach is churning and I feel like I can't breathe? How do I set a boundary that makes me uncomfortable if I can't sit with that discomfort in the first place? That's what regulation is to me and why it's underneath everything. When you've been dysregulated for so long, you start to not even know what regulated feels like. And that's where we start. We learn the tools that work for us because it's not going to be the same for everyone. For me, breath, huge. For others, breath is uncomfortable. but movement works better. Neither is right or wrong. It's about figuring out what works for you. And the only way to do that is to try different things. I never, never tell anyone, do this, like follow A, B, C. I don't. I present a variety of tools, ones that appeal to different parts of you. I like to cover the cognitive, the body, the breath. And I encourage you to practice, and see what's actually effective for you. And I still get dysregulated. I'm going to just say that now. I am not perfect. I think it's important to say that because a lot of people act that once you've done this work, you're just better, full stop. And that's not true. I refuse to hand anyone a pretty little package because I don't think it's real. And if you can count on me for anything, it's going to be for being honest and real. Okay, next phase. It is uncover. Even when I was in a really tough place, I was drawn to the idea of our beliefs. When I was leaving my social work job and trying to figure out what to do next, I did a lot of training in cognitive behavioral therapy and this idea of core beliefs because I found it fascinating. And it's still a huge foundation of the work that I do today. I think we tell ourselves stories about ourselves based on the things that happened when we were young, and those stories feel very true. Uncovering is about recognizing these stories and that they are based on old information. Maybe they were true once, and maybe they even worked once, but they're not working anymore. So we examine the beliefs, we examine the stories, which also means examining the patterns that come from those stories. And then we can actually change the story. I'm going to give you a real example from this week. I'm recording on a Tuesday. The episode will be out Thursday, and this happened this morning. I was going to post about something I'm working on, and the old belief showed up loud. That I am not worthy, that people are going to judge me. Who do I think I am? Maybe those sound familiar to you. And in the past, it would have stopped me, it would have held me back, and I would have caught up in that thinking. This time, very quickly, I just said, oh, no, there's those thoughts again. And I was able to acknowledge it and think, no, old story, old beliefs, very loud right now, and that's okay. But I can still choose to do different because regardless of what those stories and beliefs are saying, I am worthy. And what I have to say matters. Not everyone has to like me or have it resonate with them, but there are people out there who it will. And if I let the belief stop me, it won't get to the people who need to hear it. My own biggest belief, and I've shared this before, and it's really underneath a lot of my old stories, was that there is something wrong with me. I really believe that for so much of my life. First, it showed up as self-destruction. Then it showed up as trying to do everything possible so people wouldn't notice or could look past it. Understanding that belief, where it came from, and starting to reframe it, that's what has made the biggest impact on my life. Because there's nothing wrong with me. I hate the word perfect, but I am perfect the way I am. Perfectly imperfect. That's the new belief. And the new story always starts there. So that's uncover. The next phase is embody. And we can do all the work we want on the inside. It is important. Don't get me wrong. It is important. But the real change comes from doing it on the outside. Actually choosing to live differently and make different decisions. And it's hard. Honestly, all 4 of these phases are hard in their own way. Embody means admitting the beliefs still come up, the old beliefs still come up, even when that feels vulnerable to say out loud. It means putting a boundary in place, not to punish anyone, but to protect yourself. It means being compassionate with yourself, which I think is incredibly underrated and could actually be a second foundation alongside regulation. It means believing you are enough, that you are worthy of voicing your opinions, doing what you want, saying no, all of it. And we start small. I would never expect anyone to make huge changes all at once. I didn't. It took me years. It's still happening. I'm still learning to embody this work. It's so much easier now than it used to be. But I still have days where it takes a little bit more effort. So that's why we start, and we start small. The last phase is sustain. This phase, I think, gets left off a lot, and it shouldn't be. We do the work. We make changes. We think, oh, this is amazing. My life has changed. I'm living the life I was meant to. And there is so much excitement and there is so much joy. And then, wop wop, life happens, stress happens, crisis happens, all the things happen. And it's so, so easy to slip back into the old ways. Of course it is. That is how you were wired for decades. That's where sustain comes in. We want to build a connection. We want to build a community around you. People who can call you out on your bullshit. We want to plan for the bad days before they come. We want to look at what it actually means to live this way day to day. Because it's rarely the big revelations that matter most. It's the small daily moments that add up. For me, I have a wonderful community of people I love, who I know I can turn to, speak openly with, and who will call me out on my bullshit. This showed up in real time during a really stressful period we went through, with our house, with our cat, with life. And I've talked about that on another episode. If you want the full story, go listen to that episode. I'm not going to repeat it now. And it'll be in the show notes for an easy link. But it was one of the most stressful and emotional periods that I've had in a very long time. And on the other side of it, I can see all the work that I've done. Even in all the stress and turmoil, I put boundaries in place to protect myself. I sat with really difficult feelings instead of ignoring them or numbing them. I took time to rest. I stepped back from things that I would have never stepped back from in the past. And when the old beliefs came up that I can't handle this, I can't handle hard times, it was so much easier to say, well, I can. And again, now on the other side, I have so much respect for how I handled it. And I am so proud of myself. I can see how this work changes your life. And it just makes me even that much more excited to put it out into the world. Because all I want is to make a positive impact in other women's lives. So that's the framework. And if any of this is landing for you, this summer I'm running a launch offer tied to everything that I just shared. A Grounded with Ruth session, which is a one-on-one session, is normally $297 Canadian. If you book one between now and August 31st, I'm going to include your grounded meditation as a part of it, which is a personalized audio meditation made just for you. I'm doing this because, as I said, regulation is the foundation of everything we just talked about. It's where every phase starts, and it's where it always comes back to. So if this episode is the thing that gets you to take that first step, I want you to walk away with a tool for regulation just for you, already in your hands, not just a conversation. So again, this offer runs through August 31st. The link will be in the show notes, and I would love to work with you. Whew. Recording this one felt a little bit different than usual. I don't have someone across from me that I'm asking questions. I've done solo episodes before, but it's always different when I think I share more of my story. And this time, sharing my work so much more openly. If you want more information, you can find me at groundingwithruth.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the places. If this episode resonated with you, please follow the show, leave a review, and share it with a woman in your life who needs to hear it. It genuinely helps more people find this conversation, and that means the absolute world to me. And if you take nothing else from today, take this. Whatever story is running the loudest in your head about where you are right now, it's probably old. And it might not even be true anymore. And you don't need to fix yourself. You just need to start clearing away what's been covering up who you already are. And until next time, stay grounded.